Relating slope and y-intercept to linear equations. Lesson 7 notes, example number 11. Write an equation for each line graph below. Well, if you look at these lines, here's line A, here's B, here's C, here's D. What makes those lines different than the lines we saw in example 3? So let me go up to example 3 for you. Look at example 3 there. Every single equation, or every single graph in example 3 had a slanted line. All of these have a slant to them. So all of these were in the form of y equals mx plus b. If I go back to example 11, A and C are vertical lines, B and D are horizontal lines. So these are just a little bit different. I want you to go to the bottom of your page under F and H. See how I have a dotted line down there? Go ahead, draw a dotted line, because we're going to talk about the 3 types of equations you're going to encounter. There are 3 types of equations in this lesson that you will encounter that you're going to need to write an equation for. The first type are slanted lines. Slanted lines are what we worked with in example 3. So they're either, the slope is either going upward left to right or downward left to right. So for when you have slanted lines, the first thing you need to do is find the slope and the y-intercept. In other words, the first thing you need to do is find m and b. And once you find m and b, you can write your equation that looks like this. So in other words, it's the problems that we did in example 3. Pause your video and get all that written down. The next type of line we're going to look at are vertical lines. Now, if I go up to example A, we have a vertical line. What axis does that line cross? What axis does it intersect? It intersects the x-axis. And it intersects the x-axis at, I'm trying to set it out a little bit. At x equals -5. So this is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So this is x equals -5. Now I want you to look at something. If I picked this point way up here, that ordered pair would be -5, 6. If I picked this point right here, that would be -5, 4. If I picked this point right here, that would be -5, -1. This point here would be -5, -3. This would be -5, -5. If you look at every single point on this graph, it doesn't matter what y is, because x is always -5. X is always -5. So for vertical lines, the only thing you have to do is find where it crosses the x-axis, which is what I did right here. For vertical lines, you only have to worry about the point where it crosses the x-axis. So if we go back down to the bottom, for vertical lines, they only crosses the x-axis. So your equation is going to look like x equals a number, and that number is where it crosses the x-axis. For this one, your answer is going to look like y equals mx plus b. So again, for vertical lines, it's going to be x equals a number. So let's go back up to example A. Where does that vertical line cross the x-axis? It crosses it at -5. So my answer to A, my equation is x equals -5. And there's really no other work to it. The only thing I would suggest is writing this down right here. I want you to write that down there so you understand that that's where we got the -5. So our equation for all vertical lines is x equals a number. In this case, it's -5 because that's where it crosses the x-axis. The next type of line that you will encounter in this lesson are horizontal lines. So if I come back up here, if you notice, this horizontal line only crosses the y-axis. Where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses the y-axis at +3. 1, 2, 3. So this is y equals 3. So let's look at some points on this line. This point right here would be 2, 3. This point right here would be 4, 3. This point right here would be 6, 3. This point right here would be -1, 3. This point right here, -4, 3, and so forth. So if you look at this one, every single ordered pair on this line, doesn't matter what x is, the y is always 3. And why is it 3? Because that's where it crosses the y-axis. So our equation for the horizontal line, since it crosses the y-axis at 3, the equation is y equals 3. So come back down here. For a horizontal line, it only crosses the y-axis. Therefore, our answer will be y equals a number. And that number is where it crosses the y-axis. Pause your video, get all that written down. So once again, slanted lines, you have to find m and b, like we did in example 3, and then your equation is y equals mx plus b. So for slanted lines, there will be a y and an x. For slanted lines, there will be a y and an x. For vertical lines, it's only x. Horizontal line is only y. So back up here, for my horizontal line, my vertical line, it was only x. And for my horizontal line, it was only y in the equation. All right, so I'm going to stop the video here. I'll do the rest of them in a different video. If you have any questions on the 3 types of lines we're going to encounter, slanted, vertical, or horizontal, please let me know.